Mr. Casmo, could you open the meeting, please?
Mayor, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council for December 6, 2012 to order at 8:06 p.m. On roll call, council members Castiglia.
Here.
Coletti. Here. Conboy.
Here.
Chawinski.
Here.
Bonsino.
Here.
Work. Here. Mayor Mola.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Will everyone please rise for our prayer and flag salute? Oh God, our Father, we ask you to bless our meeting with we trust to your fatherly care and protection. Please remove all selfishness and prejudice from our hearts and plant therein a keen sense of justice and a greater love for you and our neighbor. Guide us in our deliberations so our decisions will always please you and bring peace and happiness to our community. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Whereas Chapter 231 of the Public Law of the State of New Jersey requires the commencement of each meeting is stated by the presiding officer. Now therefore be advised the meeting requirements of this meeting have been met by posting an annual notice in the Record of Hackensack, the Herald News of Woodland Park, and by posting such notice in the office of the Borough Clerk, as well as a public place within the municipal building, and by notifying interested citizens. Said notice was posted on January 1, 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is being videoed. It will be on channel 77, cable. It'll be on Monday at 2 p.m., Wednesday at 4 p.m., and Friday at 12 p.m. It's also on our website, www.elmwoodparknj.us. These channels and the time element that I gave you change every 6 months. Why cable does that to us, I don't know. So this is good for another 6 months, I hope, and then they possibly will give us a different date or schedule for our meetings. Thank you.
Mayor, this evening under the approval of minutes, we have the October 25th, 2012 work session, the November 1st, 2012 public meeting, the November 8th, 2012 work session, the November 8th, 2012 executive session, and the November 15th, 2012 special work/executive session.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bonsino. Second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Work. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia.
Yes.
Coletti.
Yes.
Conboy.
Yes.
Chawinski.
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Work. Yes. Motion carries. Mayor, this evening under ordinances on first reading, we have Resolution 355-12, introduce ordinance 12-24 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled An Ordinance to Fix the Salary, Wage, and Compensation of the Officers, Employees, and Servants of the Borough of Elmwood Park, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey for the year 2012 be passed and adopted on first reading. And be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, December 20th, 2012 at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter, as same can be heard, at which time and place all persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and he is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Conboy. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Work. Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor, I do. Relative to the salary ordinance, one aspect about this grouping of increases is it's not bound by any bargaining unit contract. And so we've been discussing this at length for, this year, but a number of years, is to try and move this group to a more of a merit-based concept that you would use in the private sector. So what we decided last night is we're going to ask our personnel committee next year to start looking at concepts to, one, develop goals for these employees so that they could be measured and we do not peanut butter spread an increase across these employees. Even if they're just a dozen employees, we want to start moving to a merit-based concept. And the other thing we want to do is start looking at salary bands and start capping salaries. So salaries can't grow to infinity year after year and pay for what a position merits it to be paid, and not just what some other town makes or just increase after increase. So what we're going to ask is that Our administrator, together with the Personnel Committee, worked to establish this in probably the first quarter of 2013, and then make sure that this ordinance gets approved and worked by mid-year, so it's not done last minute at the end of the year. So we want to make that change next year. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Conboy,
Yes.
Chawinski,
Yes.
Monsino,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this evening, under ordinances on second reading, we have Resolution 336-12, introduce ordinance 12-22 on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance to Amend the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park by amending Chapter 4 thereof, entitled Towers and Towing," and whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, November 1st, 2012, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance to Amend the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park by amending Chapter 4 thereof, entitled Towers and Towing," pass on final reading. Mayor, we'll need a motion to open to the public.
It's going to be a motion to table this.
Well, there was an advertisement posted in the newspaper requiring a public hearing, so I would recommend to the
Is there a
council
motion
that they
to open
hold.
to the public?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Boncino, Mr. Work, any discussion? Anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this particular ordinance? It's towing ordinance. If not, I'll close the public portion. Mr. Boncino?
Yes, right. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we table this ordinance. There are a couple aspects of the ordinance that need to be reviewed, and it will warrant an additional meeting on it.
Motion made to table by Mr. Boncino. Is there a second?
I second it.
Second by Mr.
I second.
Chawinski. Any discussion? No discussion. Call the roll, please.
On roll call to table, Resolution 336-12, introduction of ordinance 12-22. On roll call, council members Castiglia,
Yes.
Coletti,
Yes.
Conboy,
Yes.
Chawinski,
Yes.
Monsino.
Yes.
Work. Yes. Motion to table passes. Mayor, this evening, under an ordinance that the council has requested an override of the mayoral veto, we have Resolution 337-12. Introduce ordinance 12-17 on an override of a mayoral veto. Whereas the council of the Borough of Elmwood Park adopted ordinance 12-17 on second reading on November 1st, 2012. And whereas Mayor Mola vetoed said ordinance on November 16th, 2012. Now therefore be it resolved by the Municipal Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that the council hereby overrides the mayor's veto of ordinance number 12-17.
Motion, please.
A motion to override the veto?
Mr. Chawinski, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Coletti. Any discussion? I think that before you vote on it, I'd just like to make a couple of comments. First of all, I'd like to read my veto. In accordance with Section D of said statute, I hereby set forth the following reasons for my veto. Only 2 people publicly complained in writing or verbally at the mayor and council, to the mayor and council, on the record concerning the problem with the planning board's reviewing all applications. One was a real estate agent, the other was a businessman who could not qualify under the new ordinance. And 2, no applicant can ever complain about the applications of costing too much money if attorney was not hired. No one ever complained. 3, since 2006, over 240, it's probably about 260, applications have been heard before the planning board, and only 2 have been rejected. Both were overturned by court in Hackensack. And 4, no disrespect to the present zoning officer. However, he is presently a part-time employee. He does not live in town and will have to review all the applications. This is opposed to the present ordinance, which has 9 members of the planning board. All live in town, including a member of the council and myself as mayor. These are 18 eyes reviewing the application instead of 2. I consider this to be less effective review and a slap in the face of the board members who have been carefully assessing applications, some for many years, as many as 20, 25 years, especially your colleague, Larry Castiglia. 5, the planning board has been very successful in discovering major problems with applications, thus causing the applicant to sometimes withdraw. The planning board presently hears all applications in public view. It meets in the council chamber right here, as publicly announced on the first and second Wednesdays of every month, except in August. It has an attorney present at all times. It has a court stenographer present to record all proceedings under oath. This provides an undeniable record if problems are developed. This is completely opposed to the zoning official reviewing application behind closed doors in his office with no official record being taken or being taken under oath, and thus having the possibility of having a challenge later on. It also opens the door to future interference by outside sources. Let's continue transparency where all applications are completely reviewed in this council chamber. The board would like a monthly report from the zoning officer and address to the Elmwood Park Planning Board and Mayor and Council itemizing all approved certificates of occupancy by the zoning official with a check-in list attached. In regarding to Section 34-58.3A, the board suggests that the proposed ordinance be expanded to clarify if the zoning code official cannot be verified any of the requirements as set forth in these paragraphs, 1 through 4. The zoning officer does not have the authority to issue a certificate of occupancy. 9, most importantly, the board objects to the deletion of Section 34-58.2, which eliminated the requirement for site plan on any application and circumvents NJSA 40:55D-7 regarding site plans. Item 10, eliminate part of the ordinance that requires equal or less employees and parking from previous applications. If this is complied with, it could possibly result that the applicant eventually having that business in town will only have 1 employee and 1 parking space. It's working just fine now when we ask how many spaces they have. Once we keep it at that level, we don't have to come down to only 1 employee or 1 parking space. Gentlemen?
Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
I can't speak very good. I have a cold. Can I have Mr. Kazmark please read my response to the veto into the record?
Yes.
Thank you.
By the way, the response is significant, I guess.
Well, you don't have to read, just the letter. There's backup information. There's state laws in there, our town laws in there, and all documents that this is based on. If anybody would like to see them, just call me. Thank you, Keith.
The items set forth below correspond to the November 16, 2012 veto letter of Mayor Mola. 1, it is not factually accurate that only 2 people publicly complained. The Chamber of Commerce and various members appeared and complained to the Mayor and Council concerning the whole process. In addition, throughout the years, many attorneys have complained on behalf of their clients about the process to various council members. Also, many residents and business owners in Elmwood Park have complained. In addition, the issue should not be whether or not people have complained, but the economic disadvantage that it places upon the businesses and property owners in Elmwood Park as compared to other municipalities which do not have such a requirement. Finally, the issue again is not whether or not people have complained, but exactly what is the statutory authority for having such a process. Planning boards under the law cannot and do not issue certificates of occupancy. The mere fact that this exists, it continues to expose the borough to potential liability. Item 2, see number 1 above, many are afraid to speak out publicly. Item 3, see numbers 1 and 2 above, a lot of business owners go to other towns to avoid Elmwood Park's current requirements. Number 4, while the statement starts out, no disrespect of the present zoning official, it is really disrespectful to the present zoning official as it implies that since he is a part-time employee who does not live in the borough, he will not do his job. This is simply not the case. He is a paid professional licensed by the state of New Jersey who is more than qualified to look at these matters. In fact, since he has come on board, he has cleaned up the prior backlog of permits in the zoning and building departments to the point where residents are no longer complaining about the delays that had previously existed. Also, under our shared services agreement with Rochelle Park, our building official works full-time for both towns. He can be reached in either time at any time during the business day. Rather than personalize this issue and treat it as a slap in the face, quote unquote, The fact of the matter is that it has nothing to do with personalities and personal reviews. The planning board members are and have been fine members. This is a way, as many other towns do who have thriving business districts, of streamlining the process. This has everything to do with placing the business owners of the property in Elmwood Park at a substantial economic disadvantage as presented by, among others, the Chamber of Commerce, who has appeared before the board. In addition, it does not go to the ability to assess applications. Rather, it places the planning board in the untenable and possibly illegal position of being subject to federal civil rights action for interfering with the legal rights of applicants under the color of law. 5. Also, what the planning board has discovered, which is expressed in the mere generalities with applications, is completely irrelevant. This is a matter that the planning board has no basis in law to conduct, and the mayor and council are enacting this ordinance are merely attempting to correct such problems. Remember, the zoning official must follow all state and local zoning laws. 6. The fact that the planning board hears all applications in public view goes exactly to the problem. Applicants for development under the law are required to be held in public view. Applications for continued certificate of occupancy do not and should not, under the law, require planning board approval. The zoning officer reviewing the application, whether it be behind closed doors or in open doors, is of no consequence, and all the applications are of public record, and frankly, even though the planning board conducts its meetings in public, its actions have from time to time been challenged at future dates. The fact that the allegation that this opens the door for possible interference by outside sources is also irrelevant. As long as the mayor and council continue to do their jobs as they have in the past, the possibility of interference by outside sources can and will never happen. Transparency is there. All of the actions of the zoning officer and all the applications are subject to review by any citizen who desires to see them. The certificate of occupancy that is written by the zoning officer is a legal binding document under state law. 7. The board certainly can receive a monthly report from the zoning officer, but it should go to the mayor and council rather than the board. 8. I believe that this is an unwarranted intrusion of authority of the zoning officer, who under state law has the sole and exclusive authority to issue a certificate of occupancy in accordance with state law. Therefore, if the requirements set forth in the ordinance are not satisfied and required by state law, whether or not the mayor and council says so, the zoning officer could not lawfully issue the certificate of occupancy. The deletion of section 34-58.2 does not circumvent the provision pertaining to site plans. Rather, the process that is proposed in this case is much more akin to what is contemplated by NJSA 40:55D-46.1 minor site plan approval, which gives the governing body the power to, when it is truly a minor site plan, to authorize the planning board to waive notice and public hearing for the application for development, or to decide it by a site plan subcommittee of the board. In its consideration, the mayor and council have determined that the purposes which are served by the site plan approval are not warranted in the case where there is no new construction, where the site is existing, and all that is happening is a change from a permitted use to another permitted use. 10. See number 9 above. In addition, under the existing Elmwood Park ordinances for pre-existing sites, it is certainly possible that the applicant could have a business with only one employee and one parking space. Although that fails to recognize the economic realities that if there is inadequate parking, virtually no businessman or woman in his or her right mind would ever have a business where they could only have one employee, one parking space, and be unable to see customers. Thus, the point raised in number 10 of the veto message sets up an unrealistic argument and a straw man that the economics and realities of the business world would never allow to happen. Item 11. Although not referenced in the veto message, it is important to note that the planning board in this simple matter failed to do its job. Its primary responsibility in matters of this nature were in ordinance where an ordinance is referenced to them as required by the municipal land use law between first and second reading is that in the first instance, they shall advise the governing body within the time provided for in the statute whether or not the ordinance is consistent with the existing master plan of the Borough of Elmwood Park. Set forth in NJSA 40:55D-26A, the governing body must transmit any development regulation, such as a zoning ordinance, etc., to the planning board for its report and recommendations thereon. The report must include identification of any provisions in the proposed development regulation which are inconsistent with the master plan, and it may include recommendations concerning those inconsistencies and any other matters as the board deems appropriate. The governing body, when it considers the adoption of a development regulation, has to review the report of the planning board and may disapprove of any recommendation by a vote of its members. Failure of the planning board to transmit its report within a 35-day period provided relieves the governing body from the requirements of the statutory subsection. In this case, the planning board failed in its statutory duties in that it never advised the governing body whether or not the proposed development regulation is inconsistent with the master plan. Thus, the governing body is free to adopt the ordinance without regard to that provision. In effect, the planning board, in this case, substituted its judgment for that of the governing body, but clearly failed to perform its statutory obligation of determining whether or not the ordinance is consistent with the master plan. Item 12. Finally, the ordinance as introduced by the mayor and council provides for a sunset provision, in effect, a trial period for reviewing comment. Thus, a future governing body would have to reenact the ordinance after it had an opportunity to see how it worked, if it was satisfied that it was working as intended. If not, certainly a future governing body can either correct the perceived deficiencies or take whatever approach it deemed appropriate at that time. Respectfully submitted, Richard J. Czerwinski, Councilman.
Thank you, Keith. Sorry, it was too long. Sorry.
I just received this 2 minutes before the meeting, and I would suggest that this is a perfect example for the council to table the veto so that we would have time to review. I find some mistakes in the comments that were made, that we can review it again, and then if you want to pass over my veto at the last meeting of the year, you can do it. I think that's only fair, and I think it's only right that the planning board may be correct, or the letter may be correct, that does or does not interfere with the master plan. Planning board submitted to the council. The council never even bothered reading over or commenting on anything the planning board mentioned. It's a duly organized board in this community, and I think the comments made by the planning board should be at least reviewed and made comment, and at least call in a couple members of the planning board and talk to them. Instead, I hope you made a motion to table this tonight and not override my veto, because I see many mistakes in this.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
First of all, we've been working on this for 6 months. These points that came up have been going back and forth, back and forth. This is just nothing more than to stall this ordinance. That's what I feel. However, we did call Mr. Vicari into a meeting as Mr. Coletti recommended in the early days, and we went through their recommendations. I think the ordinance is fine. It's ready to pass. I make a motion that we pass the ordinance.
Motion made to pass the ordinance?
Mayor, there's also already a
I'm sorry.
motion on the table. It was made by Councilman Czerwinski, seconded by
Oh,
Councilman.
I'm not.
To override the veto.
To override the veto. Okay.
Okay. Any comments?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to say something regarding this. I served 4 years on the planning board, and I scrutinized this ordinance, and I don't find it by no means a slap towards the planning board or negative in any way or form. I simply see it as streamlining the process and possibly saving the applicant some time and money, and it's not taking anything away from the planning board. They're doing a great job. We're not usurping their power. It's just streamlining the policy and bringing less government to our residents.
Thank you. Any other comment?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make one, although I was going to hold off, but I want to share with the people of Elmwood Park this is not a planning board or a mayor and council dispute. Something wonderful is happening in Elmwood Park. The Chamber of Commerce, who I'm very proud to say I'm their liaison and work with them, as well as the whole governing body, mayor and all the council persons working with them. The Chamber of Commerce is exploding. It's nothing like, no disrespect to the previous members of when the Chamber somewhat kind of went into a hiatus or disbanded. This Chamber of Commerce is very vibrant. You're getting new members all the time. They're having very proactive meetings. I always recommend that anyone who can make those meetings come watch. They have guest speakers that are coming in. A lot of the financial institutions in our community are offering small business opportunities for growth in this community. And I think that these kind of measures that we're taking are great for any new potential business, maybe looking to come to our community. During the process of this 6-month, or seems like it's been longer, discussion, we even heard from an official at the county who said, at the business end of the county, this is one of the towns that they tell people to shy away from due to all these regulations that we have. And they're all good regulations, so I'm not saying any of them are bad or this or that, and maybe there's reasons for them. I know I keep saying to the Chamber of Commerce members, and I mentioned it at one of our work meetings, I'd like to see those members who are investing in our community, whether they live here or not. They've chosen to leave a business here to open up. They're here every day. They're providing a service to our community, and they're trying to thrive and have a livelihood as well, provide services to our community. I've implored them to get involved with our zoning and planning boards and have like liaisonships or joint meetings to see, look at our master plan. Is it right? In the middle of store districts, is this the best place for this type of business to be here? Does it fit the mold? Does it work? So I just think this is there's a lot of ways to see if this is going to work. I think Councilman Chewinski's letter explained a lot of it, a lot of things we brought up and talked. There's going to be some proactive, there's going to be steps here to protect what's happening here. There's going to be transparency, and I just think it's something good to try for our community, and I hope that everybody tonight here votes for it, even though I know some of them have reservations, and I respect any reservations that they have.
Any other comments?
Yes, Mayor. As you've heard, we've worked on this for a number of months. We did, in fact, listen to members of the business community. We invited Mr. Vicari from the Planning Board into our work meeting, and we discussed it at length, all the different possibilities that may happen. We actually tried to introduce this earlier in the year, and there were problems with it, and the mayor did point those out, and we went back and we scrubbed the ordinance again to make sure we have it right. And when you come down to what we're asking to do, we're not trying to usurp the power of the planning board or bypass the planning board. We're just trying to streamline the process and make our community a little more business friendly for some of the smaller businesses, as Councilman Coletti pointed out. And when you go into the ordinance, we've essentially drawn a box around what we want, and it's permitted use to permitted use. The number of employees should be equal to or less than the past one. The number of parking spaces equal to or less than the past one. And then no substantial renovations on the property. And all these aspects were things that the mayor wanted, and we tried to work to have something that we could all stand behind. And I think we came up with that, and that's why I'm going to support this tonight.
Any other comments? First of all, I don't know, you're talking about under 10,000. We've been working on this for quite a few months because the first ordinance was over 10,000. If we passed that ordinance, we'd be in serious trouble. So that was rejected, and we had this other ordinance put in, only for buildings or business that are under 10,000 square feet. With the ordinance as it is now, if you have 3 people, 3 parking spaces and 3 employees, and you have somebody else come in because that person moved out and it goes to 2 parking spaces and 2 employees, and that moves out and you go to 1 parking space, you're going to have only all Market Street or much of Market Street with only 1 employee and 1 parking space, because that's what it is. And that was brought up by a member of the audience last time we went over this ordinance. This is why I think we should table this, veto, go over it again. I'm not opposed to doing something with Market Street where we can work with the subcode official. What I'm opposed to is keeping that one employee down to less, equal or less parking and employees. I think that could be disastrous for us because we have many people who come in, just them, one parking, one employee. Am I right, Mr. Kasiga? That's all they have. Now, that will mean that that could never change. Once it's at that point, it'll never change. You can't put two parking places in and two employees or one person coming in the building. So that's got to be looked at again. The site plan business, I think we have to do that. State law requires us to have a site plan, and I think we have to do that. I think it's important that we have a site plan. Saving money, you know what? If they're going into business, they should be able, in their LLC, they should know they have to get an attorney. It's not that much money. If they're going into business, they should have an attorney to protect themselves. So these things should be looked at. I strongly object to people who want to talk about coming to town because they're going to be bullied. We never have anybody that comes in and is bullied.
First of all,
After 240 applications, 250 that have been approved, doesn't sound like there's bullying going on. Sounds like there may be corrections being made for the benefit of the applicant. There's nothing wrong with that. For these reasons, among others, I think this should be tabled and review what Mr. Truinsky has indicated. And when Mr. Vicari came in, he was talking about the other ordinance, not this ordinance. Have the planning board, have members of the planning board come in. You have a final date on it. Well, the sunshine. When is the sunshine law? Does anybody remember what the sunshine date was?
The sunset,
Sunset.
1 year.
1 year.
1 year. What's going to happen in 1 year? You're not going to have that many applicants. I think that this whole thing puts a sad section on Elmwood Park that we don't want business. Business is coming in. You have Elmwood Ford coming in. What Elmwood Ford was, you have a whole complex coming in. There's some major companies that have been talking about coming into Elmwood Park. No one has been kicked out. No one has been denied. Some of the people who come in on Market Street, we almost can tell them you're going to sit for 6 months and you're not going to make any business. That's their prerogative. And quite frankly, they do move out in a very short time. So all I'm trying to do, and I'm willing to work with the council, is to change that section about the parking, change the site plan, and then if that's all I'm asking. Just change those two items.
Mayor, if I may answer those few points.
Sure.
Okay. Site plan is not required for a continued CO. Site plan by law is required. If you look at my notes, and there's copies of the sections of the state law for subdivisions, minor and major, certain aspects of a minor can be waived by the planning board, or the mayor, only the mayor and council rather, but it is not required in a continued CO. Number two is Mr. Vicari got the new ordinance. They had their 35 days to review it, and no comments came back from them on the second round of this ordinance. As stated in my letter, between the first and second, okay. Also, as far as an LLC having to bring an attorney, even a lay business person, a layman, will bring an attorney who doesn't know much about land use, will bring one to a planning board hearing, so because he's not familiar with the law either. But this is not the point about being bullied or keeping businesses away, or about how many applications were passed in the past. How many businesses did not come here because of this regulation?
None.
No, there's plenty. As a real estate broker had stated on the record, he spoke and gave one example of his clients, the many that would not come to this town. And I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to get into a big argument here, Mayor, but I don't feel good, but that's good. Thank you.
You don't feel good. You put it in the last minute. Don't make me feel good.
I emailed it to everybody. I thought, didn't you get the email? I'm sorry.
Well,
Maybe you didn't get it on time. I apologize for that, but you should have had it.
Mr. Vicari, we did submit that on time, right, Mr. Kazmark?
Submit what on time? The first
Comments from the planning board.
Between the first and second reading of the second ordinance, I didn't see any comments. Did you, Mr. Kazmark?
No, they submitted a letter.
On the first and second of the second read, the second when we redid it.
Yeah. Well, the first time there were no comments.
The first one. But,
We tabled the second reading.
well, on the second reading, what were the comments?
There were comments.
Do you remember what they were?
I think you outlined them in your letter.
Okay, thank you.
Your concern was the fact that they didn't address the consistency with the mapping.
Yeah, but that never came through. The comments came from the mayor's veto, most of them. All right, I'm done, Mayor.
Well, Mr. Vicari and the planning board, it's not just him, it's the planning board, did submit it.
Okay.
Now, if we're going to haggle over how does it affect the master plan, Well, we can argue over that. If you don't need a site plan, that may affect the master plan.
Not really,
But even
Mayor.
if it doesn't, shouldn't this council at least say, let's talk to them? Shouldn't we
Mayor.
say, let's talk to them, find out? They're doing such a bad job. No one's coming to Elmwood Park?
Nobody said they were doing, I said they're doing a fine job. Matter of fact, if you look at my letter, I left copies for the public. We did 2 trial runs of applications dated back, let me see, of June 11th of 2012. In the first instance, there were 7 applications that our zoning officer paralleled along the planning board. 5 out of the 7 applications would have been sent to the planning board. Then again, we did another bunch on the June 27th. Out of 4 of those, 3 would have went to the planning board under the zoning officials' recommendations. And we paralleled using this ordinance to see how it would work. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm for giving this a try. I think it's the proper thing to do. It's been beaten to death for the last 6 months. Thank you.
Mr. Chewinski proves my point. If they're all coming to the planning board, most of them, why not let all of them come?
Because some people don't come to open the doors. Some
Finish
people
it.
will not even come.
But some people come in and they find things out from the planning board. When I mentioned, thank you, when I mentioned that we have 18 eyes looking, it's no disrespect to the zoning board, the zoning official. It's just that the people on the board know the town. They know the town better than he does. And they can offer advice. All the applications except 2 have been approved. And the 2 that were denied went to court. One was 7-Eleven on the boulevard. The other one, quite frankly, was a change to have 3 two-family houses put in on the dead end of Miller Avenue.
That has nothing to do with this continuous
Okay,
use.
those are the only 2 that were denied. So everything else is being approved. Now we have to change it. And I'm concerned that we're going to run into a problem. Call the roll.
But Mayor, also the 2 families got nothing to do with a continued CO ordinance.
I'm just telling
They
you.
would have to go for site plan approval and everything else.
I'm just telling you how many were denied.
But
2
how many
out
were
of all.
denied? How many did not? Well, my book is how many did not come to the board and say
None.
that you know of? But how many?
Nobody ever complained.
How many have complained? And even the real estate broker will tell you, which he did, that they won't even come to the door. They won't even come here, open the door.
That's nonsense.
Mayor, he said it publicly, and he gave me an example of one.
You're talking Market Street, Route 4.
Whatever, Mayor.
Market Street, Route 4, under 10,000 square feet.
That's right,
If
Mayor.
they're complaining, we have one that was just come to the planning board last week. We questioned it. He withdrew. He
Mayor.
withdrew because it involved some gold store and taking money in gold and whatever. So he withdrew.
Can I just say one thing, Mayor? I didn't get into the discussion before.
Sure.
I just want to explain my position a little bit on this. I've been on the planning board for a very long time.
How many years?
I don't even remember. Too many. Over 25 years. I've seen a lot of applications come before that board. And the thing is that everyone is looked at individually. Everyone is discussed. People come up with different questions about the application. What you're trying to do is you're trying to make sure it fits in the neighborhood. It's a business going into a business neighborhood. I understand that. And it's not only for the protection of the new business coming in, it's for the protection of the businesses that are there already. That's why you're checking this out. And the only real concern I have with it is that if it goes to the building department to make those decisions, he's going to have a checklist, and he's going to go down that list. And if every box gets checked, then you're in. There's other aspects to it that could cause problems in the neighborhood that won't be looked at. That's the only thing that concerns me about it. And I've seen that on so many years on the planning board. That's it.
Mayor, if I may answer my esteemed colleague there, Larry. What you failed to realize, Larry, those zoning laws that apply to you and the planning board also apply to this official. You don't have the right to say, I don't like this or that. You do not have that right, technically. The only guys that really take us to court are the big corporate people. The other ones won't even come here. I'm serious. And this is what I've been in land use all my life. I've seen this, and I've seen how come over 90% of the towns have it. Look at Garfield's booming, Fairlawn's booming, Saddlebrook is booming. If you don't see it, I see it. But listen, I'm not going to argue anymore.
No, I don't argue.
I don't feel
these little
that's
tweaking
I will conclude.
It scares me to think that a business might come in and just overtake the neighborhood and put other businesses in problems.
not gonna happen.
That's what I.
can't happen.
It's happened. It's happened in town already before.
We never
These
had
laws
this
were-
ordinance,
were in
Larry. It
effect.
cannot
All right.
happen.
Okay.
I'd like to make one more comment.
Yeah.
Just for everybody who's watching and in the audience here, in my simple way of looking at things, we are working on such a little problem we're arguing about, and it's 6 of one or half a dozen of the other. It doesn't make a hill of beans of difference. We have a zoning official who has a very good head on his shoulders and can figure this stuff out. What the planning board and the mayor and council should be doing is, what do we want Market Street to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, so that when our kids grow up and they have kids, they have a town that they want to live in. And we're arguing about something that doesn't make a hill of beans of difference. It's such a little aspect of what happens here, and if that's what we're focused on, we're all focused on the
You're right.
wrong thing.
I'm sorry.
And that's all I have to say.
I disagree with Councilman Boncino. I think it's important that we look at these items, primarily because my complaint is the zoning not having site plans. That's number one, and if we can resolve that, I'm fine with it. And my other complaint is take out the reduction from what it is now down to 0. That's fine. Take those two things out. You can pass whatever you want to do. I'll cooperate with having the zoning official do what he has to do. Just take those two things out. We've never discussed it. The veto was put in. Let's talk about these things. That has nothing to do, Mr. Boncino, what's going on Market Street, what's going on Route. Until something's done with the zoning, nothing's going to happen there. You're still going to have the small stores in front of
Right.
Route 4. You're still going to have the
Right.
small stores on Market Street. If you want to do something with zoning, we can look at that. I don't see any problem with checking that out. This has nothing to do with the zoning. We get too many applications that come in over the years on Market and Route 4. Pretty soon that'll be called the nail salon route. Every store that comes in is a nail salon. So we tell them there's a lot of nail salons. In fact, we don't even tell them that. That's up to them to find out. But we have people who come in and then withdraw when they find out what's going on. They come in on Route 4, they think they can park across the street. Has nothing to do with the zoning. It has to do with put back the site plan review and take out people, as Mr. Conti has indicated. He's got 3 spaces. He doesn't ever want to get down to 1. Well, who knows what happens? It may get down to 1. That's the only thing I'm complaining about. If you would give me the courtesy of not passing this tonight and discussing it at the next work meeting, we can resolve it. I don't see any major problems. Any other discussion?
Yeah, Mayor, again, we're not circumventing site plan laws. Site plan laws apply to minor major subdivisions.
Why are we taking it out of this ordinance?
We don't have it in this ordinance. Continued CO with no change of the building, owner does not need a site plan. We can waive those requirements under state law. That's what it's about. And it's streamlining the process. Again, we're streamlining the process that is in place, that goes right to the zoning official instead of coming before the board, and 2 or 3 months later, and a couple $1,000s. This is the right thing to do, Mayor, I feel, and I respect your opinion, but I think we should pass this, gentlemen.
The law that you have now took out site plans.
Didn't take out site plan on what?
It's not listed in our ordinance.
The way
You changed our ordinance.
No, Mayor, the way you wrote site plan in here was that we are getting rid of site plan according to state law. What you cited in your letter was the definition of site plan. The actual law for site plan is subdivision. We're not changing that site plan law.
I think the discussion, really, if you table it and we can discuss it, I think it would be good.
I think we beat it to death, Mayor, to be honest with you.
Well, listen, Mr. Chewinski, you told me I was wrong on the last ordinance that we didn't pass.
I didn't say you were wrong. I did not say you were wrong. I said
At the public
something
meeting, you
got
said I
typed-
was wrong.
Something got typed wrong, Mayor, on that ordinance. Something
All I'm
got
asking
screwed up.
very respectively is to take consideration to the planning board, discuss it at the next work meeting. There's no time element. If you have another meeting this year, you can override the budget then. Call a roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia.
No.
Excuse me, what are we voting on? The motion to override?
We're voting on
This is
coffee and cake after the meeting.
This is on a motion to override.
Override.
Council members,
Excuse me, so I understand that no would mean not to override?
Right.
correct. Yes would mean to override, and the ordinance would be in.
Thank you.
Council members Castiglia,
No.
Coletti,
Yes.
Conboy,
Yes.
Chewinski,
Yes.
Valsino,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, this evening, under the consent agenda, we have Resolution 338-12, payment of bills, Resolution 339-12, confirmation of checks, Resolution 340-12, confirmation of payroll, Resolution 341-12, transfer of funds. Resolution 342-12, redeem third-party tax lien O'Rourke Van Rye. Resolution 343-12, appoint John A. Conti Jr., Riverfront Residential 2 LLC and River Drive Development LLC versus the Elmwood Park Planning Board. Resolution 344-12, reschedule coin toss for Elmwood Park Volunteer Fire Department Engine Company Number 2. Resolution 345-12, resolution supporting the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over 2012 year-end statewide crackdown. Resolution 346-12, authorize Boswell McClave Engineering for the conceptual study of the widening of River Road. Resolution 347-12, approval to execute the TWA permit on behalf of the Borough of Elmwood Park. Resolution 348-12, approval to execute the standard application form extension for Riverfront Residential LLC. Resolution 349-12, refund credit balances on property tax accounts. Resolution 350-12, refund taxpayers for overpayments resulting from county tax board judgments. Resolution 351-12, appointment part-time employees for the Recreation Winter Break Day Camp Program. And Resolution 352-12, award bid for English Avenue Park.
Gentlemen, if I may, I would like to take Resolution 346-12 out of the consent calendar. I have a couple comments on that, and I think sincerely that Resolution 352-12, award bids at English Avenue Park, I think Mr. Conboy might want to comment on that because it's important.
352-12.
That's a new one, Rich.
Yeah. Mr. Clerk, could you please? I know you
Well,
gave me
let me
the
make
verbal rundown.
Let me make a recommendation just procedurally. At this point, the mayor's requested that Resolution 346-12 be pulled to be voted on as a separate item. Can we take a motion on all the resolutions with the exception of 346-12?
And 352, I'd like Mr.
You want that separate?
Yeah, everybody's going to approve it, but I just want Mr. Conboy to
So
comment.
we'll take a motion on the consent agenda with the exception of those two resolutions.
Motion, please. Consent agenda, with exception of those two. So moved. Moved by Mr. Boncino, second. Mr. Work, any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Roll call on the consent agenda with the two resolutions that were mentioned removed from the consent agenda. Council members Castiglia?
Yes.
Coletti?
Yes.
Conboy?
Yes.
Chawinski?
Yes.
Boncino?
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. Bear with me 1 second, gentlemen. Get to 346. Resolution 346-12, authorize Boswell McClave Engineering for a conceptual study for the widening of River Road. Whereas Boswell McClave Engineering has submitted a proposal for the conceptual study of the River Road widening between Martha Avenue to Garden Drive. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park, that Boswell McClave Engineering be and is hereby authorized to perform the services outlined in the proposal not to exceed $15,000. Take a motion, Mayor?
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Conboy, second.
Second.
Mr. Boncino, any discussion? Gentlemen, I have some discussion on this, and I voiced it at the last council work meeting. This is a conceptual study to see about widening River Drive underneath the Parkway overpass on River Drive. That's just as you're going down to Garfield. We do not own River Drive. It's a county road. And I think it's a poor situation to spend $15,000 for a conceptual study to see if that can be widened. It's not our road. It's not our road. It belongs to the county. They should pay, and they should widen it when it becomes a major problem. Last night, I spent an hour and 15 minutes at that site, right in front of the Parkway overpass. No problem. I sat there for an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes. The cars are all going. Nobody's backing up. Nobody's stopping. Coming to Elmwood Park,
Right.
no problem, just coming right through. Going to Garfield, many of the cars are coming off Route 46 and going to Garfield. As I was sitting in the car, there's a rap on my door window. Fella come out and asked if I needed help. I said, no, I'm just sitting here doing a survey. And he said he lived in that first house. Everybody knows that first house. And he said, why are we going to do anything? There's never any problem here. It's never backed up. It's never stopped. There's no need. But we're going to spend $15,000 for a conceptual study of a road we do not own. If it gets to be a problem, let the county pay for it. Let the county fix it if it gets to be a problem. It's not ours. There's no traffic problem now. And this is just the beginning. Excuse me. It's just the beginning. We do a conceptual study, then we have to do a design, and the town has to pay for the design. Let the county pay for the design. We have no idea, excuse me.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
We have no concept of how much that's going to cost us because the engineer flatly refused to tell us. He said, I have no idea what it's going to cost, the design. So why are we getting involved with this? Why are we taking $15,000 to do something on a county road? I don't want to get into the same thing we're having with the state highway on Route 46. The county's got a budget of $500 million, owns $500 billion. It's over 500,000 on that figure. We have our little money. We're taking 15,000 out to do their work. Let them do it. It's not that much money, but it's a part of our budget. We don't even have a traffic study, a great traffic study. My traffic study was sitting there last night. Get a traffic study before you put 15. Let our police check it out. We don't have a commitment from the freeholders that they will do anything once we come up with something. There's no commitment. There's a change of freeholder board next year. This is only the first step, which may cost us a significant amount of money in the future. And I wish that you would table this until we get more information and we don't take on the responsibility that may be significant money to us. Call a roll.
On roll call, council members Castiglia,
No.
Coletti,
Yes.
Conboy,
Yes.
Chewinski,
Yes.
Lonsino,
Yes.
Work. No. Motion carries.
We may have, excuse me, gentlemen, but we may have unintended consequences from this. Get him, Mr. Work.
I'd just like to say, I know we're past discussion. Mayor, I'm not sure exactly where you sat. I guess you sat after it merges. I come home all that way all the time now. I used to come all the way across the bridge from 21. But now I come home that way off of, what is that, exit 13, I guess, by Botany Village there at Garfield, come up by the Dunkin' Donuts there. You should go back to the other end then.
I will do
and
that.
see all the brake lights when they all go on
Where?
when it merges down to one bottleneck.
Where?
When you're coming out of Garfield into Elmwood Park.
Yeah, I watch that. I can see that.
You said you were parked by the house.
Yeah, I can see that through my rearview mirror. I look in the mirror. The cars are just coming. Nobody's backed up.
No, I could just see the brake lights. I didn't say they backed up, but everybody has to squeeze in now to one lane.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've been the guy with the brake lights because they all got to get into one.
Why are we going to... You're making my point.
I'm making your point.
You're making my point.
As
Put
we
this
know,
off.
the county's not going to do it unless we step up and do this and spend some money to get this conceptual idea if it can be done.
If it's going to
That's
be-
what was translated to us by the engineer. I mean, we listen, I'm all here for saving taxes. I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't always pay my tax bill on time because I can't afford it.
Otherwise,
And
you're
maybe I
paying
shouldn't even
interest.
say that, but that's the truth. And everybody else is struggling in this town. Everybody else is. But I'll tell you something. When we had the opportunity to do something when Garfield was doing all that work, we said no because we wanted to save the taxpayers money because we're not going to pay for it. Now look how beautiful that part looks. Lights, there's even Christmas lights on the river. Whoever thought, hey, there's a park. We bought back from the county, what is it now, 3 years ago, 2 years ago? Because we thought it'd be a good idea to take it back. The state came to us. It was the state, if I'm not mistaken. Right at the end of KIP and Martha and all that, we took back that property from the state. I think we paid like 10 grand, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Does that sound right, about 10 grand? We were going to put parks on the end of those streets, little pocket parks, I believe the mayor called it at the time.
I was never in favor of that.
But that's not why you said why not you personally. We all said, well, that would be what it could be. I remember that.
I always thought it was wrong putting a park right on River Road.
But okay, One of the things that we
Let's talk
discussed,
about River Drive.
I'm talking about River Drive.
Yeah.
So that's why we took back those little pieces, so they would be ours for someday if we needed to widen it or do anything else with it. But I know definitely a little street end pocket park was discussed and so forth. But I mean, there's even a walking path, there's bikes. But it's all part, now we have this other new building that's gone up over there. Hopefully they'll fill it up. I'm sorry, I don't mean to lose my cool here, but we have to start, we're all for saving taxes. There's not anyone here who disagrees with any of that. God knows, come back here. Watch the arguing that goes on. And then there's the sacrifice. How dare you? You're against this one, you're against that one. And then we get phone calls. You know, I voted for you. Why are you doing it? Believe me, we sacrifice a lot up here. A lot up here. Trying to do the right thing. We lose friends. We lose alliances. We're trying to do something that's right. I don't understand why we have to be criticized for trying to do something right.
Good for you, Tom.
Sorry, I apologize to my counsel here.
Mayor, may I say something?
If Mr. Conboy is
I'm done. I'm
finished.
so sorry, and I apologize.
Don't apologize, you do it all
I
the time.
hope Mr. Conboy...
I do it all the time. I see, there you go. There you go.
You're losing your temper. You're losing your temper.
You just gotta keep, you know, just gotta keep. You just gotta keep.
Mr. Conboy, I hope you never leave this council because you certainly do bring some color and passion to it. That's my comment.
I stand by my position. Why are we spending $15,000 on a county road? If it gets to the point where it's so much traffic, let the county pay for it. They have more money than us. And as for the cars coming from Garfield, there's a traffic light on Outwater Lane. It's not Outwater Lane. What is it? Lanzer Avenue. They stop there. As they come, you can only get so many cars going into a little area. You know, if the county's going to find it, fix it themselves. We're spending this money. We spent 6 hours, over a couple $1,000s last night, and the night before that, or the week before that, and we're throwing $15,000 away.
I have one comment.
Yeah.
We're spending $15,000, so we here have facts and information so we can make decisions going forward instead of sticking our heads in the stand and then having people tell us what our decisions are going to be. Now, it's $15,000, but we believe it's good money to put forward, and we'll make a decision whether we're going to spend multi-million dollars to do the design work. But we won't know unless we do some groundwork and have our facts and our position staked out. That's why we're spending $15,000.
Then do a traffic survey. Do a traffic survey first. Do a traffic survey first, and then we wouldn't have to do it. It's the county road. It's the county road. Call the roll, please.
Mayor, if I may...
Did I
did
call the
my
roll,
own-
Mr. Kazmark?
Well,
Excuse me?
I did my own...
Resolution was adopted, Mayor.
It was adopted.
Yeah.
Call the other one.
May I?
Go ahead.
We have another meeting after this.
Hey, Bob, let me hear you.
I did my own little traffic study on the situation. I was traveling south on River Road, heading towards Garfield, and as it funnels down from 2 or 4 lanes into 2, trying to make a left-hand turn into Martha was virtually impossible.
Exactly. At any time. I get those calls, excuse me for interrupting, I get those calls from people dropping their children off at Gantner Avenue School and then coming down Roosevelt trying to make a level. They got 4 lanes. I don't know what they're doing in Garfield. They're crossing 4 lanes of traffic. 4 lanes of traffic.
I think if the study proved to be feasible and the county's going to pay for it, this would correct that situation.
We don't have any commitment from the county. Go ahead, Mr. Kazmark.
Resolution 352-12, award bid for English Avenue Park improvements. Whereas the bid opening committee did receive bids for the English Avenue Park improvements on September 27, 2012 at 11 a.m. And whereas the committee did receive 2 bids pursuant to the advertisement for the above, the results are as follows. MJD D'Arminio Incorporated of Hackensack, New Jersey, base bid $58,775. Alternate bid $22,000. Alternate bid B $28,350. Andy Matt Incorporated, $275,640,430.
That's a wrong
Alternate
number.
A, $20,000.
Wait a minute,
Alternate
that's got to be
B,
a wrong number, Keith.
$5,250, a total of $2,775,665,680. Keep in mind that footnote 1 indicates that that second bid was a mathematical error on the bidder's part.
Oh, okay.
Whereas it was the recommendation of the Office of Boswell McClave Engineering that subject to the review and approval of the Borough Attorney, the above-mentioned award be made to MJ D'Arminio for the base bid only in the amount of $58,775. Whereas subsequently to the award of the base bid, the Recreation Commission has agreed to fund alternate A, installation of the irrigation system for that field. And whereas it is the recommendation of the Office of Boswell McClave Engineering, subject to the review and approval of the Borough Attorney, that Resolution 306-12, which awarded the base bid in the amount of $58,775 to MJ D'Arminio Incorporated be rescinded, and that the project be awarded to MJ D'Arminio Inc. for the base bid and alternate A in the amount of $80,775. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that the base bid and alternate A of MJ D'Arminio in the amount of $80,775 be and is hereby awarded.
Mr. Conboy, you have any comments you want, what that's being used for?
Yes, if I'm not well, what's being done there is we have $60,000 from open space that's being used for the regrading. Then irrigation's being used, is going to be utilized as well to help that irrigation. Kurt keeps looking at me, because I know he called me the other day with a room full of people on a conference call on the bids. Am I following correctly? Okay. The Rec Commission met, had a special meeting, publicized it and so forth to move ahead, to do the irrigation. You're going to spend all this kind of money in that park area with open space money and from our trust to help improve that park. It makes sense to do this. They all voted. I believe it was unanimous. The Rec Chairman is in the audience. We did this to include that in the bid, correct? Right, Mr. Clerk? So that's what we're doing there. Do you want to add anything I missed?
Through you, Mayor, to summarize this, as the councilman alluded to, the initial base bid was awarded through an open space grant that we are matching the grant with the County of Bergen. Subsequent to that, the Rec Commission made the decision that they wanted to continue the project with the irrigation system and fund that through the local recreation trust fund. And after consulting with the borough attorney and the municipal engineer, the determination was made that the original bid award would need to be rescinded and that it would need to be re-awarded tonight through this resolution so that both the base bid and alternate A were duly awarded.
Okay, irrigation sprinkling system.
Yes.
So that's what they're doing with the field.
Mayor, we need a motion.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Conboy.
Second.
Second, Mr. Voicino. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Castiglia.
Yes.
Coletti.
Yes.
Conboy.
Yes.
Chawinski.
Yes.
Monsino.
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this evening, we have the reports from the various departments.
Motion to receive and file, please.
You want me to read them or not?
Second by Mr. Conboy, second by Mr. Work. Any discussion? Any? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered.
And
Committee
Mayor,
reports?
Excuse me, Mayor, we have one raffle application that was added to the agenda today, and that's for the Elmwood Park Patterson Elks Lodge number 60. Just need a
Motion to
on it.
approve?
So moved.
Mr. Voncino, Mr. Conboy, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, so ordered. Committee reports?
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. who? Mr. Coletti?
Mr. C.
Mr. C. There's a lot of
Doghouse Coletti.
C's up here.
What'd you do?
Since we last met, the Mayor and Council passed a resolution to waive permit fees for any storm-related damages to Elmwood Park residents, and that will last up to March 31st, and that's just, once again, storm-related.
Unless it's perceived by the state.
We will be meeting with our OEM team after this meeting and discuss how we handle the storm and what improvements we can make going forward. I would like to commend our municipal employees, the volunteers, and the residents on how they handled and responded to the worst storm of the century. And in hindsight, we were more than fortunate than others. And regarding the school board, unfortunately, I missed the last meeting due to a wake I had to attend, and I have no report regarding that. Mayor?
Get a D. Now you get a D for that.
I get a D?
Or you.
Another
Mr.
dog
Chawinski?
house.
Yes, Mayor, if I may. I can't talk too good tonight, pretty ill. This is the GIF reports for the year, and just about, we're still at the lowest in lost time accidents. We're still doing quite well. We're below everybody else. This is the report. I'll leave it with the clerk. Also on Saturday, the 15th, and Saturday of December the 22nd, the fire department will be out with Santa Claus. All four departments will be out from noon on. That's on Saturday the 15th and the 22nd. So make a note of it if you have any children at home. Thank you, Mayor.
Can you make sure they stop at my house, because I've been a good boy this year.
Your raise is there, Tom. It's coming.
Up until
That's the
tonight.
Brinks truck.
If Santa was watching, he'd be in trouble.
Mayor, I do love you.
You're on the list too.
You're on my Christmas card list.
I didn't get one last year. Mr. Work?
Thank you, Mayor. The Elmwood Park Health Department will be continuing to offer the free adult consultation child health care clinics to the residents of Elmwood Park, Lodi, and Saddlebrook. The next free adult consultation clinic will be held on December 18th from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at the Elmwood Park Senior Center, located on Market Street and the Boulevard. No appointment is required, and walk-in residents are welcome. The next child health care clinics, let me see, lost my train of thought here.
Well, hey.
Well, you'll have to call the Elmwood Park Board of Health for the next child health care clinics. I don't have any upcoming dates, so you can call the Elmwood Park Board of Health at area code 201-996-2038 to set up your appointment. The child health clinics will be held in the clinic room in the lower level of the municipal building. You can use the Market Street entrance for that clinic. Elmwood Park Health Department still has flu shots available, so if you need a flu vaccination, please call the health department. Once again, at area code 201-996-2038 for more information. As everybody knows, the flu season has begun with a vengeance. CDC is predicting an early start and an increase in number of flu cases. So all residents over the age of 6 months are encouraged to get a flu vaccination to prevent the illness, especially high-risk individuals such as the elderly, those with low immune systems, and young children. Vaccinations are free with Medicare B and $25 for adults 18 years and older, old to 64 years old without the Medicare B coverage. So please bring your Medicare card with you. Walk-ins are welcomed and appointment is not needed. As everyone knows, Elmwood Park is currently sharing health office with Lodi and Saddlebrook, and add that revenue to the revenue generated by the vital statistic fees, license fees, and grants attained. The health department has generated approximately $140,000 to the borough of Elmwood Park this year.
Very good.
Of course, the Elmwood Park Board of Health is planning to take the next step, looking to add additional shared service agreements with other local municipalities. So I encourage the future liaison to the Board of Health to reach out to these local municipalities to see if there are opportunities, and I think there are many. As everybody knows, New Jersey state legislature will drastically reduce the municipal aid given to the municipalities if they refuse to share services if they are available. So that's one aspect we have to look at. The Elmwood Park Homeowners Association will be holding its holiday Christmas party on December 14th, which is, I believe, next Friday at 6 p.m. at the Tiramisu Restaurant. So if you're planning to attend, please call Mary Ann Fustina at 201-796-3773. Elmwood Park homeowner members are free and guests are $20, and they will have a cash bar. I would like to also thank the Police Department, Fire Department, DPW, ambulance personnel for their effort in the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy. Every department worked together as a team to clear roads, move down trees, assist the residents as fast as humanly possible. As everybody knows, there were some hiccups along the way. No power and lack of communication was probably one of the biggest problems. That's why we are having a meeting to address that. And hopefully we can iron out those issues that we did have. Also like to congratulate Frank Caramang and Glenn Patagano on being elected to the Elmwood Park Council. Wishing them the best of luck in their upcoming term. It's going to be a lot of hard work. I'd like to thank all my esteemed colleagues up here for all their assistance during my term. I won't miss the many late night work sessions that went into wee hours in the morning, so good luck, guys. I'll be sleeping in bed while you guys are still going at it.
Keith, you still got a couple of meetings yet.
I got one meeting left, though. In case I miss it, I don't want to forget anybody. I would also like to thank the mayor, and I should say 2 mayors, for their assistance during my term, as I had 2 mayors that were able to give me assistance, aid me in any way they could.
Which
I
one's
really
first?
appreciate it.
Which mayor is first?
Well, you're the top dog.
Alphabetical order.
Keith, it's okay now. You got a year off. You can
No,
take
I got one. I also like to thank the residents of Elm for the support during my term as a councilman. It was an honor and a pleasure to represent you and the Borough of Elmwood Park. I really enjoyed it. And I especially want to thank my family, my wife Linda, for filling in for me at home during the many meetings and events that I attended during my term. And you can be sure my wife has a long list of chores for me with my free time that I will have now. So I eagerly wait my new phase in life, from the political point to the phase of my life to the step of becoming a grandparent. As I just found out a couple of days I'm going to be a grandparent. All good things coming. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Work indicated that he's with the Board of Health and so much happens down there. I was down on the first floor today and the nurse was there, so I stopped in, had my blood pressure checked, and I just want to tell everybody here, it's perfect.
Really? Imagine that. Take it now.
So after all the years, I guess my body's getting used to all this.
So we got some room to keep working.
It's just
We're
doing
not doing a
fine.
good enough job then.
No, you're doing a good job. In fact, this is easy compared to what it used to be. Mr. Boncino.
Thank you, Mayor.
Wait till George gets up and starts talking.
First, I'd like to thank our borough employees, our first responders, police, fire, ambulance, for the work they did during the hurricane and in the aftermath. It was a pretty significant event here in this area of the East Coast, and a number of residents were impacted for a number of days, and after day 9 and 10, it started to get a little tough. But appreciate all your efforts. We are going to have a meeting after this to kind of discuss what worked, what didn't, how we can improve it. So we never have to respond to that again, hopefully. We'll see where that goes. On police matters, one of our officers, Alex Echeverria, has decided to pursue an opportunity with the county and will be leaving us at the end of the year. We've given our Chief Johnson, the go-ahead to hire a replacement officer. But I just wanted to take this opportunity publicly to thank Officer Echeverria for his service to the Borough of Elmwood Park and its residents. I really didn't know him that well over the course of my tenure as council, but his outlook and his desire to move ahead in law enforcement, it really made an impact on me, the way he explained where he wanted to go, and I wish him nothing but the best in his career as he goes forward in law enforcement. On dispatchers, we're in the final throes of making decisions on dispatchers. We should have them in place early in 2013. Captain's test was this month, and we should be making decisions on our new table of organization early in 2013 as well. In the consent agenda, you heard drive sober or get pulled over, and Ms. Millsop had an article today in the Community News. Essentially, our police department will be conducting an enforcement as part of a statewide campaign starting tomorrow, December 7th, through the holiday season ending on January 3rd. And it's essentially to do with saturation patrols and sobriety checkpoints to rid our streets of intoxicated drivers. There was an interesting statistic in the article. 152 people were killed as a result of alcohol-impaired crashes. That's 24% of all the fatalities in the state in 2011. So that's pretty significant, 24%. If you see an intoxicated or impaired driver, dial number 77 from your cell phone to report that. And just a motto there at the end of the article: drive sober, be a designated driver, and don't let friends drive drunk. So that's the takeaway of the article.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Mr. Conboy?
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to jump on something that Lou just said regarding Alex Echeverria. Again, not having a lot of time to interact with him, but I've spoken with him on several occasions. He really is just another fantastic piece to our police force downstairs. He will be missed, but his passion and his professionalism and the way he presents himself is just something unbelievable. So I'm sure that I know the county knows, because they've been trying to get him for some time now, knows what they're getting in Alex. So I want to wish you all the best and continue to be safe. He worked very hard for us, did a lot of things for us in different agencies and so forth, and he will be missed. And again, be safe and be thankful. I too, like everyone else, just want to continue to say thank you to everybody. I mean, all of our personnel here at this municipality, as some of the councilmen have already said, 100-year storm and so forth. I don't know how much preparation we could have done that would have had us completely covered in every field. As Lou mentioned, we are having another meeting. I'm sure tonight will be one of many meetings to discuss, to prepare the town for hopefully something that will never ever happen again. But they all now say this is the new norm, but let's hope and pray it isn't. But I would like to thank all those people of our municipality, the residents, all of our workers, and everybody for what they did. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of nights sleeping on the floor somewhere in Borough Hall or not getting any sleep. So thank you. And again, I'm sorry for all the residents that were so long in getting their power back up to whatever 10 or 11 days. I also would like to thank the residents who did have power and by taking in families. There was a lot of, you talked to a lot of the folks here in the town, took in a lot of neighbors next door, brought other families in, friends, and fed them, and had a home for them when their home was ice cold and everything else. So thanks to them, it showed how great our community is for that as well. On the financial front, being finance chairman, I've already had 2 meetings with our CFO regarding some of the ramifications, financial ramifications from Hurricane Sandy. And I know there's been some discussion. I want to thank our DPW Superintendent Scott Cars, who's also our OEM, Officer of Emergency Management, our clerk, AKA Mayor Woodland Park as well, and everyone working together and trying to get all of our paperwork in on time to share with the community. All numbers and tallies aren't done, but our community alone accumulating overtime and everything else that had to go through in fighting, battling this storm. Our exposure is well over $500,000. It's not all fully tallied, but paperwork has been submitted. Hopefully, maybe you saw the news on the news today, seeing the glimpse of the governor going into the White House. Maybe that'll be a glimpse we see down the road. I don't know. 2016, who knows? But he was there today fighting for our state, not just for for our entire state. And hopefully he's very successful meeting with the president and with the other members of our government to fight for that. So we'll keep everybody updated on that and how it will impact our budget. And again, we really are hoping for a lot of it to be 100% covered and to help us out. So I want to update you on that front. Also, again, just to tackle a little bit onto the English Ave piece. You heard what's happening down there. That's just this phase. In 2013, somewhere around the fall of next year, the second or third phase will begin, which is a $200,000 project. That's all coming with trust funds and from open space monies and matching to really complete that park. That is something I am very proud of. In 2013, I will have now served this community for 6 years, and with all my colleagues here, with the mayor allowing me to be on the open space committee with him and going to those meetings, we've done a phenomenal job, I believe, in our parks. Look around them, and they definitely look different than they did 5 years ago. So I'm proud of that work, and I'm proud of the Rec Commission for everything they do down there, as well as our Rec Director, Ms. Pugliese. So the people of that section of town, you'll be happy to see the changes that are coming. I want to thank those who've been calling me at home, who live in those areas. As soon as they saw the bulldozers, they got a little worried, but they were glad to hear see something's happening down there. Also, I want to thank basketball season started down at the Rec. If you didn't register, I strongly urge you to go out and register. They'll try to help to get you on a team. Street hockey started. The kids are already having a blast. That's on Sunday mornings. Check that out. That's really fun. And then on some other notes, just want to thank all of our fall athletes as their seasons have all now completed. Our high school soccer team did phenomenal going into the States. Our girls volleyball, high school volleyball did an unbelievable job. Our football team, for the first time in many, many, many years, hosted a playoff game. Suffered some unfortunate injuries that hopefully they're all recouping from our quarterback. But they did a great job. They represented our town very proudly. Also, the Bombers did a great job getting through. 5 minutes to go in their playoffs, which Keith Work says he has some free time, but he also coaches Bombers. He also coaches baseball and everything else. So I don't know how much more free time he's going to have. But
Now with the grandchildren.
and then grandkids chasing us. I'd also like to congratulate the 5th and 6th grade girls over at St. Leo's. They are volleyball champs of their league. So great job by all. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr.
Last again,
Castigli.
First in my heart.
huh? Sure. Thanks a lot.
We'll start you next week first.
Yeah. I spoke about the storm last time at the last public meeting. I just want to thank all of those people again, like everybody else did up here, the DPW, all our emergency services. They did a great job. Scott, I had spoken to Scott, I guess just before Thanksgiving, and they were trying to get the whole complete storm cleanup done by Thanksgiving Day, you know, the holiday coming, people coming to visit. They fell short a little bit on that. It took until the middle of the next week after Thanksgiving to get most of the storm damage done, branches picked up and whatnot, and they did get that done, so I'm happy about that. So we're into leaf season now, okay? All right, section...
No leaves on the trees.
They're still there. They're on the ground. They're still on the ground.
Mr. Castigli.
They're still on the ground.
Mr. Castigli.
No trees. What?
We have 3 minutes, and then he changes tape, then you can go back again.
I won't be that long.
Okay.
All right, leaf season. The pickup, section 1 is every Monday. If you look in your waste watcher guide, you'll see this. Section 2 is every Tuesday, section 3 is every Wednesday, and section 4 is every Thursday. That's weather permitting. The last pickup will be December 20th. It's a Thursday, section 4 will be the last pickup. Please don't put any branches or sticks in with the leaves. The guys run into that a lot. The vacuums get clogged up. Tommy knows that. You don't have a problem with branches? No? All right, try to remember that. I have a reminder here also on the TVs and computers again. You can't put them out at the curb. They're not picking them up. There's a dumpster down at the DPW yard. You can bring them down there. The times for the DPW, 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday to Friday, and Saturday is 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Snow season is coming. If there's any way possible, when you know it's going to snow, get the cars off the street. If we can get all the cars off the street into the driveways, they can do a much more efficient job. It helps us all out clearing the streets. I know it's not possible for everybody, but if you do what you could do. I know there's those fancy little signs out there now trying to tell you which side of the street to park on. But if you can get the cars off the street, no matter which side you're on, that would be better for everybody. I want to say congratulations to Glenn and Frank. Frank was here. I guess he took off. And good luck to Alex, too, with his new career at the county. That's about it, Mayor.
Thank you. I'm going to call for a short break while he changes the tape. Oh. We on? Thank you. We're now back on. The tape has been changed. I have my report. I'll keep it brief, and if I can, when we open to the public, we do have another meeting in the back, and I never cut the public off, but if you can have your report or your comments short so we can get back to the second meeting. I have before me an article that was in the Bergen Record on December 1st about cell phones and police departments who have the most violations, people who got caught with their cell phones. And Teaneck is number 1, and Elmwood Park is number 2 in catching people with cell phones. So anybody watching the tape, if you're coming through Elmwood Park, be careful. We check and we catch you, $100 fine. I think they're even talking about increasing the fine to $200. So we're number 2 in the entire county of all the communities except for Teaneck, and they have another couple hundred, but a 100-man police force, I think, over there. So number 2, you're driving, you have a cell phone, be very careful. Police are looking out for you. Secondly, I did the tour of the Markel plant with the Lieutenant Governor this past week, and they're going to try to get a grant to put a cogeneration plant, unit into the Markel property. If that is successful and they get the grant and it goes in, I was the first one to ask if there's any extra electricity that Elmwood Park be involved, and I was assured that, yes, that will be taken into consideration. So be aware that we may be getting a break with our electricity if that unit is enough to help Elmwood Park, if not just the schools, maybe the municipal building and surrounding areas. So we're looking for that. And at this time, I'll cut it short. At this time, if there's anyone who wants to speak from the public, please come to the microphone, give us your name, your address, so forth. By the way, while he's walking up, with the storm, they fixed the grid, a unit from Missouri. They were working on Market Street and Midland Avenue by Walgreens. Right. When they switched it on, it went down Midland Avenue, up Molnar Drive, East 54th Street, straight out to Route 4. One unit, one switch, and that went on. But we had to wait for that unit to come in, and the only unit on that whole area that didn't go on was next to Councilman Boncino, where I think we lost, 2 or 3 telephone poles?
Yeah, I didn't think I was on that night, but then a transformer blew. They had no more transformers on the truck.
But they had their power on the next day. But everything along that line. So if you're not in that grid, you're in trouble. But
I had the excuse to go to bed early again.
I had the excuse to go again. Yes, sir.
How you doing, Mayor, Council? My name is Tom Barillo, 98 Elmwood Drive, Elmwood Park. I got a couple questions. I looked on the budget over here, the sheet for a month. We paid $4,800 to have trees removed in the storm. Keith?
Yes.
Why?
We utilized a service that was offering their work efforts to the municipality, and we discussed it internally and made the decision to move forward with that, in addition to supplementing some of the work efforts of our DPW.
So DPW wasn't qualified to handle the trees that were laying on the ground down at the...
No, we had a significant amount of area that needed to be addressed, and we decided to use a vendor to supplement our resources.
Okay, but why do we have a chipper in this town? Does it work?
We have a chipper.
About 4 years ago, right?
The chipper was utilized during the storm.
The chipper was utilized during the storm?
Yes, sir.
You're positive?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just asking because I talked to the guys on the road, they said, no, the chipper's not working.
The chipper was utilized during the storm. Whether it's operational now or they had a problem during the, Mr. Brill, I can't specify areas.
Maybe Mr. Vestiglio knows, he's the DPW liaison.
I don't know about this time. It's usually utilized in the yard. They usually store the stuff and then they go back. And
Actually, that Councilman,
Sitting behind the pile, way in the back, like, collecting dust and everything like that.
that I can speak to, because the work effort that was designed by our Superintendent of Public Works was to pick up the debris, the down branches, the yard waste, whatever it be, at the homes, and then bring it down to the DPW yard for the disposal. So we did not chip or remove debris and break it down as we were going up and down the streets. It was all relocated to the yard, and then it was addressed.
Why wouldn't we do that? If we have a chipper, you put on the back of the truck with a box, guys go down and throw it in the back of the chipper like other towns do, and they utilize that when you said
The plan to address it was designed by the superintendent.
I mean, it makes sense to have a brand new chipper, use it, right?
The design, how it was addressed was designed and implemented by the DPW.
A tree actually fell in front of my house, and the guys couldn't start the chainsaw. So I went outside, I started the chainsaw for them, and they were like shocked that I was able to get it started. They had one chainsaw in the truck. I mean, what's going on with that? Then I hear the Caterpillar wheel loader, the operator's using it, and it's squeaking like it's never been greased. I asked the operator, don't you guys grease this? He goes, we have a mechanic down here, and that's it. So, I mean, does anybody do any maintenance on anything? When the chainsaw doesn't start, your wheel loader is squeaking, which there's no grease in the joints? I mean, that's an expensive piece of machinery to have no grease with metal on metal. You're going to be taking out the pins and everything eventually, and you're going to be wasting money.
There is a maintenance schedule for our equipment down at the Public Works Department. Yes, there is.
100% sure?
Yes.
All right. Who does it?
Any other questions?
Mr. Brill, I'm not going to get into the details of the day-to-day operation.
I like to
He's not privy to when they grease the equipment.
I don't know, if there's a maintenance schedule, I mean, if the thing is screaming, this weekend when they open up and close the bucket. There's got to be something going on. I'm just asking, I mean, what's the schedule of anything down there?
Mr. Brillo, have you asked any of these questions to the superintendent directly?
No, I didn't.
Don't you think he would be more qualified to answer these questions than myself or members of the governing
I
body?
gotta send you pictures of stuff in this town to get stuff fixed.
And every one of your
Ladies and
correspondence,
gentlemen, I don't wanna-
every one of your correspondence is
I
sent to
don't
the
think
public
it's good
works.
to have
Right,
it.
and it gets done, right? The marina, 2 weeks with all the garbage sitting here. Elmwood Park with that bench for 6 months, slanted like this. I thank you for getting it done the other day.
And it's
No,
when you,
I had to send you a picture of a resident picking up garbage in the park.
when you send, or any other resident sends a concern or has a complaint, it is sent to the appropriate department for action.
Okay.
However, I will say, if I may, through you, Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, understand, as I've explained to many residents at my counter, or those who have contacted me via telephone since the storm, every municipality, every Department of Public Works department was taxed in the aftermath of this storm. I mean, these council members have all referred to the yeoman's job that our various departments have had to do during and after the storm. So the fact remains that were other areas of the municipality, as it was with every municipality, were other duties that they have on a day-to-day basis neglected in order to pick up the debris and the down branches during the immediate aftermath of the storm? Absolutely. Quite honestly, that combined with being in the middle of leaf season, it made it a real challenge. So were other things neglected? Yes, absolutely. And we've tried to catch up to the best that we can. And I do appreciate your efforts in bringing things to our attention so that we can have them addressed
All
immediately.
right. Now, what about that pothole I asked you about a year and a half ago on Donor Ave? Are you going to get that filled eventually or not?
As I
Or are you
mentioned,
working on it?
as I mentioned to you before the meeting, and you bring it up again, I indicated to you that I would follow up on that.
And the other one is, I was driving down by Gilbert Avenue 2 weeks ago. You got 7 guys on a water main break on Saturday by the high school. All right? Four should be enough for a water main break, right? 7 feet deep in the ground, no shoring box. Hey, something happens. Who's responsible for that?
I will tell you this. First of all, I'm not qualified to
And there's a
supervise
shoring
it.
box down there, yard, I know.
I'm not qualified to supervise a water main break. I'll never tell you I am. But the superintendent of Public Works, I will tell you, has been dealing with multiple water breaks, some of them simultaneously, over the past few weeks since the change in the
They
weather.
didn't do it on a Friday with the school with traffic on Gilbert Avenue, I know that. But you've got a guy 7 feet in the ground with no shoring box, and the ground is flooded, it's all mud.
The first I'm hearing of it, but I will address it with the superintendent and the meeting immediately to follow this.
ocean comes down.
I'm just asking, you know? And what about the one on Fensack in the middle over there? When's that getting addressed?
You sent me an email on that today, and I will follow up with the superintendent. With all due respect, Tom, if I spent the whole day responding to your emails, it'd consume my entire workday. So, rest assured, everyone that you send is forwarded to the appropriate department.
Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to be heard? If no one wishes to be heard?
You have a gentleman
Oh,
right
I'm
there.
sorry, Mr. Nestori.
I've been here for a while.
I thought you were sleeping, George.
I'm too tall. George Nestori, 2 Sabo Court.
George, if I can, I don't want to be nasty or anything else, but we have the police chief and people in the back for a room, so if you can cut it as short as possible, thank you.
These are very, very important. You have an OEM meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Coming up?
Yes.
This is germane to that.
Tremaine.
Okay. Number one, I think about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I told you about the storm drains being wide open. The vertical on the storm drains are wide open. At a meeting, a zoning board meeting, back in March, was it, Will? When we met with Tom Dutch out in home, and I mentioned it to Tom. Tom says he's getting all of his repaired in Garfield. And I told you to contact him, gave you his cards, told you to contact him. Did you contact him?
On the storm drains, no, I did not.
You didn't?
No.
You know how critical that is? I mean, you're talking about trying to do everything before a storm comes. I have leaves in my storm drain in front of my house, right up to the grade. It's been like that. Thank God, when the storm came, we didn't get the rain we were supposed to get. And you don't clean this 5 minutes before the storm comes. This is constant maintenance, it's called. Okay, you know that from engineering, the aerospace field. Constant upgrade maintenance. Okay? You have to do that. And you also have to look into, not just a moment, okay? I got this guy from,
Chief,
I got this guy from,
could you take the meeting? I just want to tell you.
Progressive Brick Company, okay?
All right.
And his name is John Soderman. I suggest somebody, maybe Keith, call him. His number's 201-288-2121. They got various ways that they can correct these storm drains. Other towns have done. Number one priority. You can do anything you want. If the storm drains are full of garbage and you can't get the water out, it's going to back up. And it's constant. It's not, rocket science. And we have these major problems. I tried to get some things done. Keith told me right before that second storm was coming, and thank God we didn't get the 3-4 inches in 1 or 2 days, because the water would have never made it through into Fleischer's Brook. But not just it's garbage that gets into Fleischer's Brook from all of these open storm drains. And I would really appreciate it if you looked into contacting Progressive Brick. I got some paperwork here, and there's ways you can go. They have a bag that catches it, and there's 4 ways you can go. I mean, I don't know which you guys want to handle, how much you want to spend. But it's a number one. It's not a number 2 or 3 or 4 priority. It's number one. Because if the water has no way of getting into the brook and going down into the Sage River, we have major problems. And this is not something you do 5 minutes before a storm. Okay. And I had, contacted Keith, but he says he's backed up, right now because the storm is imminent. I spoke to Mr. Swinsky, and he was trying to get things done, but it was too late. It should have been done months ago, not 5 minutes before a storm. So if you want this paperwork, if you're serious about it, just don't take it and not do anything. I'll give it to you before you go back there. So that's number one. Number 2, the sewer system. And we looked into, is the sewer system capable of handling the volume with the growth in town, the population growth as far as there'll be multiple buildings? Because it hasn't been able to handle before these growths. So, if we have a tremendous storm, it backs up, and we have major problems in the homes. Have you ever looked into this? This is a constant problem for 30 years, 40 years. I mean, you let buildings go up, buildings go up, buildings go up. And if we have the same sewer system that can't handle the volume, we have major problems. There's encroachment. We have people who have their sump pumps feeding into it. I don't know how there's a system that you have that you can find that out sooner or later, I don't know. But you might have to come in with the camera and go through the sewer systems and find out who's encroaching into the sewer system. Plus, we have runoff that goes into the sewer system because it's broken from the leaves and from the branches. These are major things that have to be addressed. Okay. I don't know what you're going to do. It's the same look you give me every year. Every time I bring it up, man, you just don't do anything about it. Okay. Now, we just had a article in the paper where they showed the percentage of increases of property taxes. And of 109 that were listed, okay, 71 were below, and we were above. We were at 3.9%. Right, what does this tell you?
I don't know.
Okay.
Mr. Burke will tell you what it tells.
I can answer that question.
You talked about $15,000 to upgrade.
You want Mr. Work to answer your question?
Your major reason why it went up 3.9% is the school board, the Board of Ed tax, their rate went up 4% because they held their increase last year to 0%. So that allowed them to go up 4% this year. And since that's about 62% of your taxes, that's why our taxes went up 3.9%.
It's a cumulative number between the town, the Board of Education, and the county.
Taxes were below.
That's a good excuse.
No, it's not an excuse, it's a
not an
fact.
excuse,
It's a
George,
fact.
it's a
It's a
The
fact.
thing is,
As a matter of fact, you'll see your municipal tax is down.
Down.
Yeah.
Because look at your municipal tax, it went down. That's what we're responsible for.
okay. Now, the thing here is that, I heard the mayor talking about the 15,000, and you guys want to upgrade River Road. And he claims 15,000. Now, how much are we paying retirement benefits to the previous borough attorney? How much is that coming to a year?
People get retirement benefits.
How much benefits that you're paying? That you gave them full-time benefits?
Not the
Borough attorney?
I don't think so.
Because he's not here, he hasn't been here for 10 years.
No. How much are we paying for his retirement?
I don't
You
think-
gave him full-time benefits.
I don't think he was eligible. He didn't have his time in. I think that's how that ended up.
He walked away with medical, he walked
I think that's
away
wrong, John.
with retirement benefits, and from us.
I don't know about that.
We know that for sure, that was the case 7 years ago. And it's costing us more than $15,000 just for him.
State law
And that's
requires.
a continuous thing, and he wasn't a full-time employee.
He said,
He need- He needed 10 years, and I think he fell short of that at night.
For retirement health benefits?
Zero, yeah,
For retirement health benefits, he would have needed 25.
Yeah.
for the medical.
Retirement health benefits.
Yeah, okay.
Does Mr. Giblin have,
After 10.
benefits from
Yeah.
us?
Mr. Giblin, do you have health benefits?
I do not.
Okay, that's good.
Are you healthy?
It wasn't that way before. Now, the
Good for
question
me.
I have, the question I have is, there's another way we can make money in this town, or save the town money, is if we have resident parking. It's been, I don't know how many years now I've been talking to you about it. Lou, what did Tom Dutch say about resident parking?
We were going to bring Tom Dutch in here to talk about resident parking, and we were going to do the catch basin thing at the same time, but that didn't happen. We were overcome by events. So that's something that I want to go back to next
Can you
year.
guys reopen the issue?
I'd like to. It depends on the council, though. It's 6 of us have to decide to do that.
It's a great way of getting illegals, residents out of the community that's close to us. All right, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, George.
Okay.
What if we do it for 6 months?
Yeah, I know you're going to be meeting with us. Steve Crowley, 274 Market Street. On consent agenda R 343-12. Can you explain that to me?
343.
River Drive development?
143,
What's that all about?
143.
Yeah, that's involving the apartment complex and parking spaces. I don't want to get into details because I take too long, but they want to have less parking than was there originally.
What about 348-12? Also on consent.
Yeah, the permit that's necessary that the borough engineer has signed off on and encouraged. We've done numerous versions of this, I think, for multiple times.
The CO ordinance, you guys passed it, first of all. Second of all, you keep on bringing up 7-Eleven on Market and the Boulevard. And if I recall, when that property was available, there was a proposal by a former councilman to buy it for parking. We didn't want to do that. We don't do anything regarding helping for parking in this town. So when you go ahead to deny possibly a business from coming in because of parking, you should look at the council. The town's not doing anything to help like other towns are, personally. Secondly, the property that's behind the bank over here, who owns that property? Along Van Eyck?
State owns that.
State property.
We lease it for
We lease it.
$1. Okay? But you're doing something for your employees, but what are we doing to help out businesses? Okay, for parking. You could have piggybacked off of Garfield.
Wait a minute, George, wait. You're talking about in front of Cinco Paint?
No, right over here.
No, right on.
Across from the town hall. Right across.
Over here, across the
So we're
street?
using that.
Yes,
Just making
please.
a point,
Right.
okay? You could have piggybacked off of Garfield. Don Smart was in about the Route 4 thing, but we don't jump on board. Okay? So other towns are doing things. No offense, we're not. Okay?
I disagree, but...
Okay, you can disagree with me as long as you want. Again, I'll print out my letters from 1998 that I used to send to the council about ideas about improving parking for business in town. Nothing has ever been done. Whether it's on Market Street, whether it's on the Boulevard, whether it's on Route 4. Okay? So, you know, if you really want to show business, be business friendly, do something. Because, no offense, you brought up my name about 3 parking places. I guess you're bringing up the 2-family I have there.
You brought it up, I just mentioned it.
No, you mentioned my name.
Yeah, because you brought it up at a previous meeting.
Correct, okay.
Which I think you were right,
know
that's
what?
why I brought it.
I have a dedicated street behind me that I plow, that I fix the potholes, that I put a storm sewer in over there because of flooding. Yes, it's a paper street. It's not used by the town, okay? But I maintain it. Do I have enough parking? Nobody in this town has enough parking. No business, no matter what you do, has enough parking. But other towns are helping out business to help their parking situation. I don't see it being done here.
What
You
would
can say all you want.
What would you suggest, Mr. Conti? Buy a
I'll
piece?
print out those letters from 1998 and 2000.
You suggesting we
that I used to send to the council.
buy a piece of property?
Hey, this was suggested years ago, okay? Years ago, okay? But unfortunately, we didn't have the vision to do that. Okay, and again, you know, you say on one hand you want to help business, but on the other hand you don't do anything. Okay? Do I agree with types of businesses that may go in because it's going to be a burden on parking? No. But that's what you're going to have today. And unless you have vision to work with other businesses and residents to try to figure out the best way to handle increased cars and traffic, business is not going to succeed in town. Bottom line. Go to other towns that have a plan. You bring up a master plan is throw it out. It's never been viable here. Okay, no matter what you say, it's never been viable here. Okay, because we're a hodgepodge all over town. Okay? You want to help businesses? Do something about it.
Anyone else who wishes to be heard?
Who's that going to say?
It's going to be a long night, Chief. You put the whammy on it.
Talking about by 7-Eleven.
Late night meetings.
Wow, there you go.
Who's going to serve?
Rich Lorenzo, 166 Hillman, Board of Recreation also. Just to piggyback on a comment by Councilman Conboy, rec basketball has started. I would like to publicly thank, believe it or not, the Board of Education and Dr. Tomko for waiving the original charging of the rec for usage for the recreation program basketball at a couple of the schools here in town. So I thank them for that reversal of fortune. That's a good start, exactly. And also for the basketball program, if anyone out there, I know we're on TV, we're looking for 2 more coaches to coach 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th grade teams.
Keith.
So anyone out there who is interested in volunteering some time, I know our director has put it up on the board and we've advertised in the paper, but we are short a couple of volunteers, so we're actively looking for that. And again, just wanted to thank the school for their goodness in helping out the kids in town. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Mayor, at this time, I would ask that you accept a motion.
Got somebody coming up.
Sorry.
Give it to Keith.
I need the 12 cents. Pete Bergen, 901. Some of you may know me, general contractor, landscaper in town. And I just wanted to ask, basically with these storms that are coming through year after year, would you put in some kind of a list together if there was like a source of like hiring outside contractors to benefit and take the load off some of these DPW guys that they can't get to the leaf cleanup now, like you're saying, everything is backed up because of this storm. A lot of other towns do use outside contractors to come in on a storm like this. I think it would be something local that would be
Through you, Mayor, we do maintain a list, obviously, because we have a landscaper licensing program. So that is a great suggestion. I will take it back to the Public Works Superintendent. The only thing I will say with the company that we did utilize, that was passed down through county OEM to the municipalities that this is a vendor that they were recommending the municipalities use. That's why we reacted so quickly to that opportunity. But I will take your recommendation and I will pass it along to Mr. Carson. I don't know the timing, but it did come down from county.
We know there was an outside contractor that came in, but because I've noticed there's a lot of debris, a lot of damage, and I see a lot of people struggling. And again, that would uphold or uplift some of the pressure. I know that's a budget of spending money, but unfortunately, that's something that we can't, get away from at that point. The other thing I have in mind is I've been in business for about 6 years, going on 7, and I keep looking at this piece of property like land. I can't even say it is. It's just basically just an island on the corner of Washington Avenue and Boulevard.
Oh, I know it is. Yeah.
Okay, the landing, I guess, over at Lincoln, it doesn't look as bad, but Washington, it's horrible. I mean, the plants are not manicured, the trees are pulled down.
Yeah, there used to be a resident that took care of that. I think that's the way all the plantings went in originally also. She's no longer around, that's the thing.
Again, I mean, I don't foresee being somebody's job to do it, but a lot of different towns do give like certain little areas like that to businesses that would say, hey, like you go down 46 and you'll see a couple of different landscapers will have their business sign up there, and it's just been donated and maintained by this company. And I think that would really look nice, and I think it would be a little more appealing. All right, so it's going to make the landscaper probably show up once or twice a month and maintain that little area. But again, if it's on the route, it's going to be minimal time to do. And I would really like to take the opportunity to do something nice there. And clean it up and put it something where it's not going to cost the town any money. So I guess tonight's a good night versus looking to spend money.
I think your idea is absolutely great, and if it were up to me, I'd give you permission to do it, because we tried that quite a few years ago. We had 1 or 2 landscapers do the work, and then unfortunately somebody was tearing down their signs because they wanted to do it, and it stopped. But as far as I'm concerned, if you want to do it and the council approves it, or we have to go out and solicit other contractors for other areas, I would say do it and put a sign up. We'll give you the size.
There's lots of areas in this town that do.
I agree 100%.
I think it's something that we can bring into the town. It doesn't cost the town nothing.
I agree with you 100%.
Great idea.
And we'll talk about it. And if you know any other landscapers who know of a piece of property that they would like to do it and maybe put up a sign, we can work on that.
Well, as you said, you have a list of contractors that are licensed
notified.
to the town. We'll start with the townscapers first and then go outsource and stuff.
It's fine.
Very good.
All right.
Hey,
Thank you.
Good job. Maybe you get a little.
Mayor, at this time, we'll need a motion to go into the work session to discuss the OEM response to Hurricane Sandy.
Second.
Conboy and
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take that.